In this series, I try to explain how some great scientific ideas came about by putting scientists into a sort of a story where they have to explain their ideas to a little kid. It is a great way for me to learn about science, and I hope you will find it educational too. Today we are going to talk about Niels Bohr, who developed quantum theory. But before we do that, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free, and then you won't miss any new videos. Our story begins in a small village in Denmark. Little Marie is playing with her newly got microscope. She loves looking at things that are normally invisible to her. One day she sees something very strange. She sees a tiny ball rolling around inside of one of her slides. She looks closer and realizes that it's not just a ball. It's a tiny green ball, and it seems to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Then it disappears. She runs to her father, who is a professor at the university. "Look, Daddy, look," she says. "I found a particle that can be in two places at once." The professor is confused. "That's impossible, Marie," he says. "A particle has to be in one place." But Marie insists. "Look," she says. "It's right here." The professor takes a closer look, but all he sees is an empty slide. "You know, Marie," he says, "you shouldn't make up things because they seem impossible." Marie gets really upset and runs out of the room. She bumps into her Uncle Niels. He's a famous scientist who's visiting from Copenhagen. "What's wrong, Marie?" he asks. And she tells him about the impossible particle. Uncle Niels thinks for a moment. "Well," he says, "maybe your particle isn't in one place or another. Maybe it's in both places at the same time." Marie and her father are both surprised. "But how can that be possible?" the professor asks. "It doesn't make sense." Uncle Niels smiles. "That's because you're thinking like a classical physicist, my brother," he says. "But if you think like a quantum physicist, it makes perfect sense." He takes a piece of chalk and draws a circle on the blackboard. "This is the particle," he says. "And these are all the possible places it could be." He then draws a line through the circle. "When you measure the particle, you get a result," he says, "and then it collapses to just being in one place." He points to the spot where the line intersects the circle. "But before you measure it, it's in a superposition of all those places." The professor is still confused. "So where is the particle?" he asks. "It's here," says Uncle Niels, pointing to his head. "In my brain. All the possible places the particle could be are in here. When I look through the microscope, I collapse the wave function, and the particle ends up here." "Wow," says Marie. "That means that my particle isn't just in one place. It's in all places at the same time." Uncle Niels nods. "Exactly," he says. "That's what quantum mechanics says." The professor is still skeptical, but he can't deny that his daughter's particle could be in two places at once. "Maybe you're right, Niels," he says. "Maybe we need to rethink how we understand particles." And that's how Niels Bohr developed quantum theory. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. It's free, and then you won't miss any new videos. Also, remember to give us a thumbs up if you liked it. We'd really appreciate that.